In ancient Athens, education played a crucial role in shaping children's character and preparing them for their future roles in society. For boys, education was primarily designed to equip them for life as citizens and active participants in the city-state. Their journey of learning began at the age of 7, and it followed a structured path that included primary education, physical training, and advanced studies in rhetoric and philosophy. From an early age, Athenian boys were introduced to the fundamentals of reading, writing, and arithmetic. Great importance was placed on the study of poetry, especially the works of Homer, such as the Iliad and the Odyssey. In addition to literacy, music and recitation were integral to their education, and boys learned to play instruments like the lyre or cithara. However, intellectual development was not the sole focus. Physical education was considered equally important, with boys engaging in rigorous training in gymnastics, running, javelin and discus throwing, and wrestling. These activities took place in gymnasiums and wrestling schools, known as palaestrae, where they developed strength, agility, and discipline. As they grew older, boys who continued their education delved into the study of rhetoric and philosophy. The ability to speak persuasively was essential for participating in Athenian democracy, where public speaking in the ecclesia, the assembly of the people, was a fundamental aspect of governance. Through the teachings of great philosophers like Socrates, boys learned to think critically and seek truth, with the goal of becoming morally grounded individuals who could contribute meaningfully to society. Wealthier families could afford renowned teachers such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, giving their children an advantage in their intellectual pursuits. Despite the structured learning opportunities for boys, education in Athens was not publicly funded. There were no state-run schools, and families had to pay for private tutors. Lessons were often held in small rooms or even in the homes of teachers, rather than in organized school buildings as we know them today. Children carried small wax tablets called ponikia and styluses to write, as paper had yet to be invented. The lyre was another common educational tool, used to accompany poetry recitations. Teachers played specialized roles in Athenian education. The grammatists taught reading, writing, and basic mathematics, while the kitharists focused on music and singing. Physical training was overseen by the paidotribes in the gymnasiums and palaestrae. There were no fixed schedules or breaks, and students spent their days immersed in a blend of grammar, music, and physical education. However, education was a privilege largely reserved for boys from wealthy families. Poorer children, slaves, and girls had limited access to formal education. Many boys from underprivileged backgrounds had to work from a young age to support their families. They took on jobs such as manual labor in agriculture, working as shepherds, or learning trades like pottery, carpentry, and blacksmithing through apprenticeships. Others found employment in the bustling markets and ports of Athens, or even as sailors on ships. Given the city's strong maritime economy, girls, on the other hand, received a very different form of education. They were usually taught at home by their mothers or other female relatives, focusing on domestic skills such as weaving, sewing, cooking, and household management. A few girls from wealthy families might have had the chance to learn music or reading, but such opportunities were rare. At the age of 18, Athenian boys entered the ephebia, a 2-year period of military training. This stage of education was vital for preparing them to defend their city-state. They underwent intense physical exercises such as running, wrestling, and weapon training with shields, javelin, spears, and swords. They also learned tactics and strategies, including the phalanx formation, the backbone of Greek military strength. Given Athens' dominance in naval power, young men were trained in navigation and combat on triremes, warships. As part of their duties during the ephebia, they served as border guards, peripoloi, patrolling the frontiers of Attica to gain practical experience in safeguarding their homeland. Upon completing their military training, they were officially recognized as citizens of Athens, ready to assume full political and military responsibilities. Military training in Athens was not just about preparing for warfare. It was a means of instilling discipline, responsibility, and a sense of duty to the community. It reinforced the ideal of the citizen soldier, where service to the city-state was considered an honorable duty and a fundamental aspect of Athenian identity. The overarching goal of education in ancient Athens was to cultivate the ideal citizen, known as kalos kagathos, a person who embodied both moral virtue and intellectual excellence. For boys, education aimed to prepare them for civic and military responsibilities, while for girls, it sought to equip them for their roles as wives and mothers, ensuring the smooth functioning of Athenian households. Ultimately, education in Athens was deeply intertwined with the values of democracy, morality, and religion principles that were central to the fabric of Athenian society.